Okay, interesting question. This is something that I posed on X or Twitter and got some internal response to. And the question is, if you had to choose a lifelong partner, a husband, a wife, someone that you're going to marry, live the rest of your life with, have children with, ideally, which would be more dissuading to you, or you'd rather not likely have to deal with, is someone who is a smoker, someone who smokes daily, maybe a pack a day smoker, or someone who is morbidly obese. Now, morbidly obese refers to someone with a BMI of greater than 40, and so that, for frame of reference, that'd be a 5'10" person, say a 5'10" male that weighs 280, or a 5'5" woman or shorter person weighs 240. So that would be considered morbidly obese. And so the answer to that poll on Twitter, at least, was by a margin of about 8-1. Most people would choose the smoker over the morbidly obese person, which is quite interesting. The effects of smoking not only affect the actual smoker themselves, leading to things like increased rates of lung cancer, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and so on and so forth. Not to mention the problem with everything smells like cigarettes, and so on and so forth. Whereas morbid obesity generally just affects that person, although there could be some knock-on effects downstream to the rest of the family, having to deal with maybe some of the medical issues. Perhaps the general dietary household would be adjusted to support that person, and might lead to obesity by association, in other words. And so both of them, in my view, represent addictions. I think by definition at this point, obviously smoking clearly is addictive, but I think by definition, if you exhibit morbid obesity, you probably with very, very few exceptions, are having some component of food addiction based upon that. And so back in 1954 in the United States, we had peak smoking rates of around 45%. Today, those numbers are closer to around 13% due to a number of interventions that took place, some on the government level, some on the local level. We had a lot of education around that. And the question is, some people would argue that addiction to these ultra-processed foods, these whatever they might be, whether it's sugar components or some of the other ingredients there that make them so utterly hard to resist, and there are food engineers that clearly that has been their job, and they've done it quite well. They've addicted a nation and generations to this garbage food, and it's hard to give up. And so, you think about, I will go as far as to say this. I think most chronic diseases that you're dealing with have some nature of food addiction associated with that. And until you realize that, as a healthcare provider, whatever your specialty is, whether it's orthopedic surgery or cardiology or endocrinology or even dermatology, until you realize you're dealing with some level of food addiction, you're always going to be limited in the success you're going to have. And, that's one thing that I've come to realize, is not only is it about, getting people to eat right, but it's dealing with their addictions. You've got to deal with that aspect. There's a psychological component of that. There are a lot of support that's required in there. One of the things I'm very excited about our company, Rivero, is we get that. And we are building in things to help people with those addictions. And I think it requires a lot of support. It takes a lot of education. It takes a lot of accountability. It takes sometimes a long time to deal with that. But I mean, if you're willing to put in the time and the effort, I think the results can be overwhelmingly positive. Anyway, let me know what you think. Would you rather live with a smoker or someone who's morbidly obese? Obviously, I think no one, I guess the interesting thing is that, when you see somebody for the first time, you make a visual impression. I mean, that's just the reality. I mean, first impressions are first impressions. If someone's morbidly obese, you're probably going to be like, they're not really I'm not really attracted to that. Now, whereas somebody's smoking, you might not know it for a while. You may not find out until you've had a chance to meet the person, interact with them, and develop somewhat of a relationship. Then you just go, oh my God, they're smokers. So, with that being said, one, what would you prefer or prefer not to have? Is smoking worse, or is obesity worse? And then two, what do you guys think about what I said about the addictive nature of chronic disease? Not just the fact that chronic disease is impacted by nutrition, but chronic disease is impacted by addiction. All right? Let me know what you guys think. Talk to you soon.